Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Black Lightning Season 4 review series. And today I am going to be talking about Episode 11, The Book of Reunification Chapter 2, Trial and Errors, which I have just finished watching earlier. And I never realised until now that we are actually 3 episodes away, including this one, from Black Lightning Season 4 wrapping up for good. And as we all know, this is actually going to be the final season. And it's quite amazing how time has just flew by so quickly, because I didn't know that we were just a couple of episodes away from finishing up for good, because I thought the show had at least maybe a good 5 or 6 episodes left, but we're actually down to 3 episodes, including this one. So it's really mind-boggling to think that we're just very, very close to ending. And my curiosity has even grew and grew more. How are they going to end Black Lightning? Because for the most part, this season has gone on a very different path to the previous ones we have seen. We've basically seen the Pierce's family ripped apart. They're not all on the same page. They're not all seeing eye to eye. And we now seen that Tobias has framed Jefferson Pierce. We've got Khalil, aka the Painkiller, lurking in the background. You know, we've got all these things going on, and you know, now they're losing their powers. And we've seen Jennifer have her appearance completely changed, and her powers are flooding on and off. You know, there's so much going on, and I'm just wondering how exactly are they going to tie all this together, because you know, we're only just 3 episodes away from wrapping this up for good. And it's been a great season. You know, it's been a fantastic season. And I'm just wondering how they're going to pay this all off. But that's going to be for another time. We're going to get into talking about episode 11. And I would say this one was really good. Very different. Painkiller was more of the focus. He reached out to Jefferson, and Jefferson asked him for his help. We all know the history between these two and the whole family as well. So this had a lot of Khalil in this episode, but this was still a good episode overall. And we're now seeing that the Pierces are on their way to getting their names cleared, and we're gearing up for a huge showdown with Tobias Wells. So that's what this episode has been more or less about. And it looks like Painkiller is now in Tobias Wells' radar all over again. So that's going to lead into the next final couple of episodes. But overall, I thought this one was pretty damn good. I quite enjoyed this one a lot. And it was very, I wouldn't say emotional. There was some emotional aspects to it, but I would probably say that this episode was a bit more action-driven and a little bit more story-driven. But I quite enjoyed this overall. So with that all said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Episode 11, The Book of Reunification, Chapter 2, Trial and Errors. So this episode opens up where we left off, where we see Lightning has got her powers back, trying to get the stolen metagenes that were transported. And we see Jennifer is able to use her powers to an extent and gets the cargo, but something still isn't right with her powers. Meanwhile, at home, Tobias checks on where his shipment is, as he is the one expecting the metagene, and discovers Lightning. He starts to connect the dots that Jennifer and JJ could be the same person. At a bar, we see Jefferson and Gamby talk. Jefferson doesn't feel like himself without his powers. Gamby tells him that he's not defined by his powers, but Jefferson still struggles with that, feeling that he can't protect his family. Gamby says he's going to find the emitter and get everybody's powers back. This is what I like about the show. You know, Gamby, I've said in the past that Gamby is kind of like a hybrid combination of Jim Gordon and Alfred Pennyworth. He's got the hard, no-nonsense approach of Jim Gordon, but he's also got the fatherly and warmth and love of Alfred Pennyworth, and it really makes for a nice overall package of a character. And the way he's able to reach out to Jefferson like a dad has been some of the show's best stuff, and you know, these two absolutely delivered another emotional scene. And really and truly, all due respect to Jefferson, Pierce, and all of the family, but Gamby to me is the heart of the show. He's the one that makes it all happen. And I still think the show would have been really good, but I think with him, it just makes it a little bit better. And you need a character like that. And I think Gamby has done an excellent job being that sort of character for Jefferson Pierce in particular. And he's like a dad to the girls as well. You know, he's a brilliant character. He's probably my favourite character outside of Black Lightning. I just absolutely love the guy. I think he's awesome. Meanwhile, at the Pierce home, Lynn's attorney says she will have to take a plea deal and be sentenced to jail time. Now, if you'll remember, in the last episode, I think maybe the last episode before, Lynn was taken into custody and she was literally stripped down and examined, which made for a very uncomfortable scene, as I've said before. So she's got a plea deal here, and we're just going to see what happens there. And we see Jefferson and the law spar briefly, but Lynn says it is her decision and her decision alone. Tobias is elected mayor. Nothing good's ever going to come out of this. Not at all. Police Chief Lopez pays him a visit. She wants more firepower to deal with lightning. He offers her the use of meta boosters. Lopez is initially wary but accepts. He also tells her about his power blocking wave and gives her the bracelet that blocks the wave. As she leaves, Tobias gets confirmation that Jennifer and JJ are the same person. Now, we've seen Tobias well throughout the season. He's been on a one-man mission to basically tear down the Pierces from outside and within. And now that he knows that Jennifer and JJ are in fact the same person, this just makes him even 3 times as dangerous than before. Anissa and Jennifer tell their parents about Jennifer getting her powers back and then reveal they got the metagenes. Anissa explains the situation regarding the fake cystic fibrosis cure and Monavista. Jefferson realizes Tobias has picked up where the ASA have left off. At the sanctum, Khalil contacts Jefferson and tells him the ledger. He reveals that Luca is the highest paid in the ledger and that she was locked up but disappeared in the war. They realize that Tobias hired Luca to use her powers and make people set Jefferson up. Khalil decides to go after her. Jefferson goes home and tells Lynn what Khalil learned about Luca. Lynn has an idea for a serum that will extract the silver from people Luca controlled. Lynn cooks up some homebrew chemistry to create the serum. Jefferson meets with Detective Shakur and explains Luca to him, as well as the serum that they want to administer to Agent Mason. Detective Shakur isn't so keen on the plan, but he says he will think on things, and then Jefferson reveals to him that he's Black Lightning. This, of course, doesn't go over well with the detective, but Jefferson said he's trusting him because Henderson said he could. Shakir sets things up with Mason and they spike one of his coffees for the conference. Mason drinks the coffee, noting that it tastes terrible. A few moments later, Luca speaks through him and her silver substance is injected from his body. Yuck. Jefferson collects it and Mason tells him he has felt like a puppet or he was in Get Out. He says he will repay the favour of Jefferson having set him free. On the roof, Jen confides in TC that something is off with her powers. TC tells her about how the police chief hijacked Uriah's account to go after her and also tells her that he set up a date for him. Jennifer and Uriah meet for their date, but Tobias' lackey shows up and tries to kill her. Uriah is hit by one of the bullets and tells Jennifer to stop being Lightning or watch others she cares about die. Uriah tells her to go light up the world, encouraging her to be Lightning before he dies. She blames herself because her powers keep fading and that she was unable to save him. Yeah, this was quite a sad scene because, you know, we've seen these two have a bit of a flirtation going on and off over the course of a few episodes, and then they finally hook up thanks to TC, and then he goes and dies, which really sucked for the Uriah, because I was really hoping that they would actually get together and maybe Jennifer could finally get the happy ending that she deserves, but sadly it wasn't meant to be. We then see Khalil goes after Luca, fighting his way through her various bodyguards. He locates her in the office where she decides she's going to keep him as a pet. She uses her silver on him and gets into his head, discovering both Painkiller and Khalil. Khalil and Painkiller in his head team up in his psyche to fight her, with Painkiller ultimately poisoning her. In the real world, Khalil gives her half the antidote and tells her she's going back to Freeland and admits to what she's done, and he's taken her powers in the process. At his home, Gamby has Lauren over. He apologizes to her but also tells her about Tobias and he wants her to help find the emitter. And this then shows Lauren evidence of the stolen metagenes from the pregnant woman, and it's enough to convince her to help. Gamby and Lauren go out to look for the emitter, going into the tunnels under Freeland. They blast into a wall and locate Promethium and realise that a vein of it runs through the city. When one of the men on his payroll goes inactive, Tobias is clued into Khalil being back and sends Ismail to kill him. And that pretty much ends episode 11 and my review. Overall, I thought this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and it really sets up the stage for the final confrontation between the Pierces and Tobias well. You know, Uriah getting killed off was quite a sad moment. I was really hoping for Jennifer to get the happy ending that she deserves, and she's not really had a lot of luck with guys in the past, so I was hoping she would probably get a break, but sadly it wasn't meant to be. But overall, I thought this was a good solid episode, and we're getting closer and closer to the season wrapping up for good and the overall show. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 11? Did you enjoy it? What was your thoughts on Jennifer's powers going on and off all the time? Do you think she'll reach a point where she'll be able to have her powers back to full strength? Or do you think this could continue right up to the very end? And also, how do you think the Pierces will be able to get their powers back? And also, what does this mean for Khalil and Tobias? What could happen when they eventually confront each other due to the history they've had? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Black Lightning Season 4 review series, where I'll be talking about episode 12, which I am very much looking forward to. Should be a really good one, especially with we're only a couple of episodes away from wrapping up the season for good. So until next time, take care everybody and stay safe, and once again, thanks for listening.